A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the squad member, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, saying that the white man needs to be monitored for radicalization, when an interviewer on Al Jazeera was asking her about conservatives and Islamophobia due to recent terror attacks, Fort Hood, car attacks in New York, et cetera, so on and so forth. Now, there is a lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. But let's start from the very beginning and talk about this interviewer. Before we even get to Ilhan Omar and what she said and how it's not even really serious, let's talk about what this interviewer was saying. Islamophobia. How am I afraid of Islam or afraid of anybody that is Islamic by pointing out some basic things that are going on? Everyone knows when you're talking about these terror attacks, religious attacks all over the world, the key core principle that can be found in nearly all of them is Islam. It's very simple. You go to China, they don't play that. They have concentration camps for Islamic people. Does anybody call China Islamophobic or anything like that? It only seems to be the majority white nations that get accused of being Islamophobic. And what about anybody that's on the left? Like, why is it only conservatives? I think people on the left and the right and the center, libertarians, etc., understand that there is a big problem with Islam, radicalization, and terror attacks. But I digress. I had to get into him and talk about that because I couldn't do this video correctly without addressing that big time elephant in the room. But to get to Ilhan Omar, she's talking about how the white man needs to be monitored because they are the largest source of death in the country. That's not even true. Last time I checked, according to actual numbers of people that die, people that are the killers, it's actually black folks who kill the most and who are the biggest victims. Okay. And the reason why they're the biggest victims is because black folks kill a whole lot of black folks more than anybody else. Like 95% of the time when a black person gets killed, they're killed by another black person. Now, somebody's going to retort, a 300 IQ person is going to retort in the comments and say, well, everybody kills everybody. Crime is about proximity. Well, proximity is not the equivalent to your actual mass number. Okay. Black folks are about 13% of the population, yet we account for 52% of all the murderers and 48% of all the murder victims. So we are the majority of the murderers and the majority of the victims because most of our murder victims are each other as black people. That's a fact. That's not about anything saying about genetics. That's nothing. No opinion is there. I'm looking at just straight hard data and numbers. And when she says that the white male is the biggest murderer in the nation, that's false. It should be true because white men are the biggest male group in the country. So it should be true. White folks are like, what, 65%, 70%, if you include some Hispanics of the population. They're the biggest group, so they should be the biggest killers, but they're not. So what she said factually was incorrect. But beyond that, it was an emotional reaction. We're talking about Islam and people that become radicalized in Islam. Now, the last time I checked, Islam was not a religion. You have this guy on Al Jazeera. He's obviously not black, probably from Middle East somewhere, Arab or something like that. And Ilhan Omar is clearly black. She's from Somalia. Last time I checked, that was a sub-Saharan black African nation, not even North African like Libya, Egypt, etc. You're talking about somebody that is from like Horn of Africa. I mean, you can't get no more black than being African. So it's not about a race thing. You guys on the actual stage right there talking to each other are not the same race. So how can you say that Islam and being, aware of what's happening in the religion of Islam is a race-based thing? It's obviously not. But this misconception is part of the reason why the left are afraid to condemn terror attacks that come from Islam or even look at it in a serious way. When I talk about Christianity all day, they'll say that Christians are bigoted for not wanting to, cater gay weddings and baking gay wedding cakes. They'll call Mike Pence's wife homophobic because she works at a Christian private school, which does not engage in homosexuality as far as their staff members being gay or being gay married. But they won't say the same thing for Islamic countries in the Middle East that will kill you literally for being gay, that will put you in jail for being raped. For the crime of being raped, the rape victim goes to jail. Okay. We don't want to talk about how they got these boys dancing around as girls because they can't have their women involved in such, deplorable actions. Okay. They don't want to have their women be shown, so they put them in the big giant black trash bags. Okay. And speaking of the giant trash bags in Islamic garb, why does Ilhan Omar have on the turban? Last time I checked, women in Somalia will wear the hijab, if not the full body trash bag. But I digress. They'll have the women in the full body trash bag with the little mailbox slit right in the eyes. And the reason they do that is because they don't want to show the woman's body off. They want to keep her modest, but they have no problem dressing an 8-year-old boy up as a girl and having them dancing around entertaining adult men. But again, I digress. These backwards cultures aren't really called out the way they should because Islam is framed as a brown person's religion. It's not even true. Not really. I mean, you got plenty of people that are quote unquote brown that observe it the same as Christianity. I would argue that there are just as many people that are white who observe Christianity as there is that observe Islam. Or maybe just a little bit more Christians that are white than people that are Islamic. You have Islamic countries in Europe. In the Middle East, you got places where the people, like Lebanon. If you go to Lebanon, are you going to look at a person and see Arab or white? Like, what's really going on? Religion is not a race-based thing. You have adherents of all religions all over the world. You got people that are white that are Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, everything. So the characterization of Islam as a race-based thing and counteracting that with, we got to monitor the white man because he is violent. It doesn't make any sense. Factually, from what she said, she was incorrect. And as far as race, it doesn't even apply here because, like I said, religion is not a race-based thing. As I close, I'm going to say this. Ilhan Omar, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, this is the future of the Democratic Party. Race-based attacks, calling Kellyanne Conway, information Becky. Calling black people that want to support white people that are conservatives, tokens and sellouts and part of the quote unquote black round, like Bette Midler said. This is the wave of the future in the Democratic Party. And you have to look at that and realize this is the exact reason why they're losing so many people over there. They're going all the way far to the left, off the cliff like a bunch of lemmings, while those who are just regular, everyday people that are not even really political, just go to work every day, take care of their kids and their family, the wife and the husband, they're right there in the center, and we're going to be the only sane ones left to come scoop them up. The party is leaving much of the base that they have accrued for a very long time because they're focusing on those they have gotten over the past few years under the Barack Obama presidency, who had pushed nothing but race-based identity politics, ideologies that are far to the left. They're banking their future on new recruits while neglecting those who have been part of the party or have been kind of leaning that direction for a very long period of time traditionally. So we're going to win, and at the end of the day, they're going to lose. So that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Do you think that Ilhan Omar was correct, that we must monitor the white man because he is so dangerous? He is the main reason why the country is violent in certain spots. If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is she incorrect, factually incorrect? Who is the biggest killer in the country? I'm not even saying we should monitor the black man. I'm just saying we need to monitor people that exhibit certain kinds of destructive behavior. You have race-based extremist groups that operate in this country, of course. You have white groups, black groups, Asian groups, Hispanic groups, gangs, all kind of stuff. Then you have religious extremists, and the overwhelming majority of them are going to be Islamic. Monitor those so you know you're going to have issues from. It's very simple. Don't look at it on a race-based thing, color, nationality. Look at people that are going to be the highest risk for radicalization and extremist organizations, or those that might want to join extremist organizations, gangs, cults, or whatever the case may be. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.